Thanks, everyone. I know we're running a little tight on deadlines, so I'll try and keep this a little short. So, all this while, I think the crisis, COVID-19, I think more than anything has certainly brought the spotlight on how organizations have been able to really listen to and respond to employees' needs when it came to actually ensuring business continuity, right? And within the retail segment, I think it goes without saying that our ability to actually stay in business and deliver to our customers is almost entirely dependent on our ability to get our people to be able to put their personal best at work, whether it is behind the scenes or even upfront with the client. And the pandemic really tested that aspect for a lot of organizations where, mind you, at the start of the pandemic, a lot of leaders were very, very unsure whether their employees are going to be with them or not. A great place to work. We've been doing this for the last 30 years across the world, the last 13 years in India, where we assess great workplaces. We look at culture, we look at employee feedback, all with the only mission to say we want to be able to help companies become great workplaces for all. The one payoff that we have always seen is that in organizations that have been able to establish their brand in the talent market invariably do very, very well, even when it comes to the customer market. And that's obviously because of a lot of linkages. When you look at why focus on employees, focus on your talent can have a direct impact on your customers. I'm reminded of a quote the founder of Marriott, JW Marriott, had said, which is, if I take care of my associates, I know they'll take care of my customers. Right? Nothing brought this out more than this year. There have been two types of stories that we heard. At the start of the pandemic, back in March, April, Great Place to Work had reached out to over 250 organizations, primary CEOs, to understand how they are planning to handle the crisis. This was still early days. Some were very positive that everything was going to get better soon. Some were already starting to look at long-term business continuity plans because they sensed that this wasn't going to go away quickly. And when I said we had heard two kinds of stories, is organizations that have been consistent great workplaces, they spoke from a space of confidence, saying that our people are with us. We know we're going to take it one step at a time. We understand that there is a sense of uncertainty, even as leaders today. We may or may not be in a position to give a clear direction to organization. But when we do, we are confident that our people will help us get there. On the other side, they were really, really worried about, a set of organizations were really, really worried about, is my talent going to stay with me? Are my leaders going to stay with me? Will I be able to revive my business? Somehow, what the sense we could get is, leaders of organizations that are still on their journey of becoming great places to work, they felt very, very lonely at the top. While leaders of organizations that have been historically great workplaces, an investment in employee experience and creating trust within the company, felt that this was a burden they shared with everyone and that they would go through it together. We saw that pay off when we looked at the best workplaces in retail. Now, Great Place to Work does at least about 1,000 assessments in India every year, where 1,000 companies participate with us annually to be able to assess their workplace culture. And specifically, we looked at what is happening within the retail segment when we announced the best workplaces in retail last month. And we looked at the top 10 best workplaces, which you see on the right. One of the analysis that came out from the study was very, very obvious. If you look at the box on the top right of the graph, you see that in the best workplaces, 84% of employees say that it is not only a great place to work, but they actually said that people are willing to put in the extra effort to get the job done, which means that in the best workplaces, 84% of people are there with you, willing to put in the discretionary effort. And it paid off in a very dramatic way for a lot of the organizations. In fact, many of the brands that you see on the screen on the right, you've already heard their stories over yesterday and today. I had the privilege of hearing some of these wonderful stories of how employees came up with ideas and suggestions to actually create new business lines and innovation, how employees decided, let us go to the customer if need be. I recall Puma talking to us about an entirely new business line that they're actually going to start introducing, which is pop-up stores at large gated communities or within communities and societies where they can go to the customer, because this was an idea that came up by one of their team members. Flipkart spoke about how they were able to pull off the big billion day and ensure deliveries of almost 50 million orders, all because 10,000 of their employees worked remotely to be able to pull off whatever was required to get the platforms up, to get the sales up, to get these orders processed. Now, all of these stories tell us that there definitely are some business benefits for organizations when they invest in their people. What do we mean when we say we need to invest in our people, create a better place to work? Are we really referring to an organization where people are saying that we're very, very happy? What creates that happiness? So, Great Place to Work, we're very, very proud to present a very reliable and validated framework that has been existent and tested and stood the test of time year on year, which tells us that a great place to work is one where people trust the leaders that they work for, have pride in what they do, and enjoy the company of the people that they work with. And when we look at trust, we say that leaders can demonstrate that they can be trusted, and employees trust the people that they work for when they see their leaders as being credible, when they see a sense of respect shown to them by their leaders and supervisors, and they experience a sense of fairness. It is in this environment that you will see a lot of miracles come out, whether it is amazing ideas and suggestions where people want to help the organization, want to help customers, want to help managers and leaders to be able to deliver on their goals. You will see instances and stories where employees have come up with very, very interesting concepts to be able to cut back on costs on difficult times, where employees as a whole willingly take a pay cut in a time like this, because they would much rather have a pay cut together than see the organization having to let go of people, right? You will also see stories where employees completely without micromanagement, without the need of leadership oversight, actually develop task force on ground, get the action going, be able to create employee resource groups to be able to support co-workers, to be able to actually ensure last mile delivery for customers, all without the need of a manager having to closely supervise and direct them. In a time like this, where a lot of us continue to work remotely and may continue to do so, given the hybrid structure workplaces that are surely going to come in the future, can we really afford to stay within our old command and control structure, the old bureaucratic structure of the triangle, where we have a whole bunch of managers and leaders only to supervise our people on ground? And if we say that structure no longer makes sense in this new times, what is going to ensure that our people are out there every day putting the interests of their organization and their customers on time? And that's really going to be this test, right? To conclude what I'm saying, I'm putting up a very simple slide that says that people here are more likely to recommend the organization as a great place to work when they are heard. And the only way that organizations are able to do that is when they actually focus on what we call the segment of one. So to summarize, great workplaces are organizations that have built a degree of trust. At Great Place to Work, our focus is on finding and sharing the stories of such organizations. And we do that by certifying and recognizing these best workplaces. And the very best of these workplaces actually ensure that they do so through multifold. So they don't just rely on a one-time survey, they focus on continuous feedback, they focus on developing their managers, they focus on actually building their culture ground up. And when you do that, when you invest this time, energy, and effort in terms of investing in your employee culture, you will see that pay off multifold with your customers and your business. Right? So thank you so much, Rai, for giving me this opportunity. And I do hope that a lot of our organizations here would find some benefit and consider employee engagement a critical part of the CEO and the business strategy as well.